Well, as you can see, I'm off to the gym again, but thought I'd just do a little video beforehand. And I am gonna go back to my story. Those of you who've been with me for a while know that there's an ongoing theme threaded through my channel, and that is the story of my life, which is pretty unusual and pretty kind of just very weird and unusual. So there's always new surprises, but I've already come a long way in it. By this time I am already married with kids. They're teenagers. So if you want to see what happened in my early days, you can go backwards. But it's been a while since I have done an edition of my story, so I am going to tell you that if you want to, the last one was called Human Angels, so you can go back and see where we left off, but I'm going to give you a tiny little recap. And okay, we had been staying in a motel, one room, six big people. I mean, there were teenagers and 2 adults, and two little chihuahuas in one room of a motel for 13 weeks with no money. And God miraculously provided, because we had no home here in the United States. We did have a home in Kenya that we were renting, that we had kind of gotten behind in paying. And we knew that we were supposed to go to Kenya, but we had no idea how it was going to happen because, as I said, we had no money. And it was just miraculous provision for 13 weeks. But in the last video, I told about how 2 wonderful ladies had come into our life. We had only known them for a matter of like a month, but they were women who did not have much money themselves, who had fixed incomes. Older women, not older, but my age, but maybe a little older than me. But they had felt, one of them had felt that she was supposed to take us out of the motel and into her little trailer for Christmas time, and until we went to Kenya. And the other one, so now we were staying in her trailer for Christmas, and the other one had felt from God out of the blue to give us $10,000 out of the $25,000 that we were believing God for, that we knew it would take to at least get us to Kenya. And then God would have to provide more once we were there. But because we had so many different things to do, send the dogs, send the package, our boxes, because as far as we knew, we were going there forever. And etc., etc. Anyway, you can, if you want to, you can see the other video and it explains better. But so where I left off, we had just come into the home, her new home, and I mean her home, and I was still sleeping on the blankets with the dogs, and my kids were sleeping on couches and stuff, and Jose was in a little room in the back, and so that's where we were, and we had just had $10,000 given to us that was designated for our airplane tickets. Well, we used that to buy our tickets from, not from New Mexico where we were to Kenya, but from Miami to Kenya, because we had a desire to say goodbye to our family members, because we did not know how long we were going to be in Kenya for. And so we bought the tickets from. And the other way that we paid the back rent on the home that we had rented in Kenya. And what else? Oh, I forget what else. I think that we might have had a little bit left over for Christmas presents for the kids. I forget exactly how we used that $10,000, but most of it was gone, okay? And now, the next thing that we had to do, God told us, okay, start getting your boxes ready, because we had packed up boxes months ago that our friend had let us put them in their garage where we had been staying before. And there was 31 boxes, but we realized that they were going to have to be repacked and repacked and have the stickers put on them to get there, etc., etc. Not repacked, but condensed maybe. Okay, so and the boxes were full of stuff like for the kids, like things that meant something to them, so they could bring a little bit of home with them, like their bedspreads and also the homeschool books, etc., etc. Okay, so we had a little bit of reprieve. We had a fun Christmas because our friend, well, first of all, before Christmas, because we got in there in the before Christmas, she let us use her car. So because before that we had no way to get to the boxes to prepare them, but she let us use her car. We would drop her off at work and go over to our other friend's house to prepare the boxes. And when we went there in faith without having any idea how we were going to get the money to send them. And then about a week after we moved into our one friend's place, the other friend who had given us the $10,000 came to us and said, she was shaking again. She said, God just spoke to me. God spoke to me and told me I'm supposed to give you another $5,000. So now we had, of the $25,000, we had been given $15,000. And with that, we felt we were supposed to send the boxes and also buy the tickets from New Mexico to Miami, and also rent a vehicle for the time that we were going to be in Miami, because we were going to be in Miami for 3 weeks. But as of yet, we had no place to stay when we were in Miami because our families couldn't house us during that time. So we used to joke with the kids and say, at least we'll have a roof over our head for 2 out of the 3 weeks because we could stay in the van. They did not appreciate that joke much, but that's what it was. But they knew by now that God had his ways. Okay. So all of a sudden, Lexi came up to me and she said, it just came to her mind. She hadn't thought of this person for years, but the person who used to she used to love, who used to babysit for them and take care of them take care of them sometimes, once in a while. She had been a family friend once when we lived there before, but Lexi hardly knew her, so it's amazing that she came to her mind. She said, I think you're supposed to call this person and maybe we could stay with her family. So it was very, very humbling. Jose called her and said, we're on our way to Kenya. Could we stay with you for 3 weeks? We don't like to ask people for things, but it was very hard, but we did it. Okay, so then she said, we would love to have you. They had a house that was big enough to house us. She said, but just at that time is when my cousin is coming. She comes every time at that year, and she is planning on coming. So I can't. And so we just started to pray more, and we didn't know what we were going to do because we were going to land in Miami for 3 weeks with nowhere to go. Okay, so 2 days before we were to get on the plane, this person called back and said, she was kind of like in shock. She said, our cousins who usually stay decided to stay at a motel. They had not asked them or told them anything, but it's like God changed their heart. So she said, yes, you can stay with us. And then they even allowed our dogs, us, the whole kit and caboodle, right? And so we arrived in Miami, and we were still scared because we did not at that time have money to send our dogs over. And I forget, there was a bunch of stuff that we needed, our shots, which cost money. There was still a bunch of stuff that had to happen. But we arrived in Miami, and this was in January of 2006. 2006. We arrived in Miami. And I'm going to leave it there right now. And so we're halfway to Kenya. Okay, bye you guys.